Welcome into the Sharp Sports YouTube podcast. My name is Andrew Sharp. We'll be talking everything Denver sports and beyond. Please like and subscribe if you are a sports fan like me. Let's do this.
Welcome to the Sharp Sports YouTube podcast. My name is Andrew Sharp. The Denver Nuggets have concluded their regular season, have qualified for the NBA postseason, and have finished a little bit of an upswing to finish the regular season. Denver won the last 3 games against 2 play-in teams and one team that essentially had nothing to play for in the Houston Rockets. But Denver avoids disaster of the play-in game. Denver at least gets home court advantage in the first round of the NBA playoffs by clinching the 4th seed in the West, where they will face the 5th seed Los Angeles Clippers, who we'll get into a bit more later on. But I think for the Nuggets, they avoid having to play the Lakers in the first round, which the Nuggets have done very well against the Lakers, but that was with Anthony Davis, not with the addition of Luka Doncic, who's transformed that team. They also do manage to miss the team the Lakers will be playing in the Minnesota Timberwolves in the playoffs for now, which is also good because Minnesota, despite one bad loss towards the end of their season, has finished very strong, and I think will give the Lakers a good series. So Denver's sitting at about a little lower than I expected them to by the end of this regular season. But again, they have at least a top 4 seed, guaranteed first round playoff series with 4 games in Denver. Nuggets also have another season with Nikola Jokic, a season that was filled with obvious turmoil given the fact that ownership decided to get rid of the coach and the GM, with all sorts of other issues and injuries and problems. And Denver still went 50-32 in an extremely competitive Western Conference, finishing 4th. It actually was a 3-way tie between Lakers, Nuggets, and Clippers, all finished 50-32. But some head-to-head matchups and tiebreakers went in their favor. Speaking of tiebreakers, the Denver Nuggets actually did pretty well against the Clippers overall in this season, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that right now. It's always good to go back, and these seasons are very long for the NBA, and certainly with the Western Conference. Denver Nuggets will play the Clippers a couple of times in the year, but since they're not in the same division, it can vary a little bit year to year on when they play, how often they play, and all that. So way back, second game of the year, Clippers were at home, or at the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets were at home. Clippers won 109-104. Only second game of the season, as I referenced earlier. Game was back and forth, competitive. Jokic played. He had 41 points, but no triple-double. The Nuggets were competitive. And it was a little precursor to what we would see for the rest of the season, which is when Jokic plays, the Denver Nuggets can win the NBA title. And when he doesn't, they were a lottery team, which is quite unfortunate. So, a little bit just summarizing from that game. All the Nuggets starters, all 5 starters, were in the plus minus. So those of you who don't know, plus minus basically means how good were you on the floor based on points, rebounds, turnovers, assists, all of that. And every bench player who played for the Denver Nuggets in that game was negative. So you're figuring out pretty quick that the Denver Nuggets, unfortunately, do not have a good bench, even in the early part of the season. A point of friction that was going on behind the scenes all year, hence why Michael Malone and Calvin Booth are no longer employed by Stan Kroenke. So, including Russ, who came out of the gates storming at a negative 13. So from the very beginning, this was going to be a problem. Go on to game number 2, which was on December 1st, 2024. Clippers won 126 to 122 in a game that, again, you can see the problem with the offense in the fact that without Jokic, they're hopeless. They also, in this game, gave up 126 to the Clippers, who are not, as I will discuss later on, are not an offensive juggernaut by any means. So to play that poor defense and lose certainly was not great. Giving up 126 in regulation, game did not go to overtime. And Kawhi Leonard, who you could argue is probably the Clippers' still number one option, did not play, and the Clippers still won. So Clippers were just more efficient back and forth into the fourth quarter. But regardless, they went ahead and finalized that win for the Clippers. Met again 12 days later. Nuggets win 120-98 in a game that was not all that competitive. Denver was basically ahead throughout. And again, a summary of the Denver Nuggets is real easy to look. Did all 5 of their starters play really well? They did. All 5 starters are in the plus category. Pretty much everybody had a pretty good game that particular evening. And so the bench wasn't that good, but the starters were good. Looking at LA, starters were not great. Bench was okay. And the Nuggets blew them out by 22 points, with all of the, 4 of the 5 starters for Denver scoring in double digits. We continue and keep going and go to the next game, which was on January 8th, in which, again, Kawhi Leonard did not play. Nikola Jokic, at this point, was kind of beat up during the middle of this part of the season. He also did not play. And every Clipper starter was a negative for this game. So, every Nuggets starter was a positive in this blowout win. So, as you can see, it's definitely a tale of 2 teams, in the sense that when the Nuggets starters play to their capability, the Nuggets can quite frankly beat anybody. And when they don't, and they don't have much of a bench, they lose. So it's pretty simple. The hard part in summarizing all of this is that even though the Nuggets won the series 3-1, they last played in January. The Nuggets have quite a bit of turmoil since then. The Clippers have actually gone the opposite direction. The Clippers have been pretty amazing going down the stretch, having won basically effectively their last couple losses really weren't to anybody's all that surprising. I believe, let me double check where the Clippers lost. Yes, they've won a ton of games to end this regular season. They lost at Cleveland by 5 back in Sunday, March 30th. So the Clippers are on a heater, much more so than the Nuggets. And the other game they lost was to the number 1 seed in the West, Oklahoma City Thunder. So they basically lost to 2 teams that are definitely in the top 3 to 4 contenders. And the last time they lost to somebody who wasn't very good, they lost at New Orleans back on Tuesday, March 11th. So Clippers have been absolutely killing it. 17-3 for their last 20 games. So the Nuggets have their work cut out for them. And we're going to dive into how the Nuggets might be able to advance in the Western Conference playoffs coming up. And it's been since January 8th the Los Angeles Clippers and Denver Nuggets last played each other, and a lot has transpired, especially here in Denver, with the firing of Mike Malone. And it's also going to be interesting to see how the new coach, David Adams, decides to attack this matchup. But I think for Denver, it comes down to essentially 3 very basic principles. First is Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray has to have a huge series. Unfortunately, he's going against an LA team that has a lot of wing defenders that can really clamp down and make things very difficult for him. But if Jamal Murray plays at the NBA championship level, when he was the second best player to Jokic, and they ran the beautiful two-man game that they were capable of running, Denver has a shot to beat anyone in the league and proved it in 2023. So this series really comes down to, is Jamal healthy? Is Jamal productive? Is Jamal worth all of the money that he is making off of his recent contract extension with the Denver Nuggets? Second one, on the other side for the Clippers, can Kawhi Leonard stay healthy for a playoff series? And by series, I mean literally this series. I don't think it's smart for LA to look much past that. He's had a lot of times where all of a sudden he ends up with a mystery injury in the middle of the postseason, can't go, and now the Clippers are forced to be James Harden centric. Harden's had a good year, but the LA Clippers are going as far as Kawhi Leonard can take them. And I would say the third element, and it does work in Denver's favor, is that Denver still does have home court advantage in this series. I think playing at a mile high at altitude has to mean something for the Denver Nuggets, especially if they go out run and gun against a Clippers team that is more defensive and would like to slow it down. But basically, Jamal Murray containing Kawhi Leonard while hoping he gets hurt again, and home court advantage are the way the Denver Nuggets can advance in this series. I think it's going to be very competitive. I would not be surprised if it goes 7. If it goes 7 games, we'll have a lot to talk about. Once again, my name is Andrew Sharp. I'm going to keep it a little short and sweet tonight as my spring allergies have sprung up this evening. But thanks for joining me, and there'll be a lot to react to. Nuggets and Clippers play tomorrow, Saturday, starting the NBA playoffs. Once again, this is Sharp Sports 82 Podcast. My name is Andrew Sharp. Thanks for watching.